Flaps for the Flapper. The Omaha Morning Bee, August 4th, 1923. Spalding, Nebraska. To the editor of the Omaha Bee. Through your column, I take the privilege of offering a plea in defense of the flapper. A girl from the age of 16 to 20, her hair bobbed, face powdered and rouged, lips painted. In general, they are most always good-looking. The most are game sports. They dance, smoke, and put on parties. They talk of sheiks, cake eaters, my man, aggravatin' papa, and many titles for their boyfriends or escort. They openly discuss life with the opposite sex, and without an evil, impure thought in their mind. The older people, parents, and even big sisters and brothers are shocked when they hear the flapper sis talk of getting a kick out of this or that, of getting hired out, too much wine, and many of their favorite expressions. If they dance all night to music of the saxophone with its jazzy or weird wail, are they any worse for it? Thinking of good times, getting the kick out of life, and not taking life serious, they are condemned, termed a rotten bunch, and wondered where they will end up at by gossips and narrow-minded people. The question is, are we such a rotten bunch? I say we, I being a flapper. Should we think deep into every move, act, or deed we do and look for evil in it? Youth is supposed to be beautiful. Why in this modern day is it condemned, wondered at, and talked of even from the pulpit in an effort to reform it? Why don't they try to understand it instead of reform it? We don't do anything wicked or wrong. Of all the flappers I know, which is many, there isn't one who is immoral, often venturing near the forbidden line, but they never cross. Thanks to the few that approve of us or overlook our childish folly. Keep on our side, stick up for us. It helps us over the bumps. We will come out a fine, clean gang after all the criticisms. If there were more boosters instead of knockers for the flappers, we wouldn't try to shock the elderly people. MRF, a flapper of 18. Faye King gives tip to bobbed hair flappers. The Washington Times, June 30th, 1922. The bobbed hair flapper certainly knows what to do with her legs, as she stalks around with them, shod in comfy stockings and wide-toed, low-heeled shoes. But she doesn't seem to know what to do with her hands, and so out of sheer awkwardness and nervousness, she is all the time combing her hair. That's all right, but she doesn't seem to stop and think that no matter how nice and clean and fluffy her hair may be, there are bound to be some loose hairs that fly in the face of people around her, and it certainly isn't sanitary or nice. Now, I'm sure our little flapper friend wouldn't do this if she would stop and think how unpleasant it is for the person next to her or in back of her to have her hair, pretty as it may be, falling all over them. I certainly am in favor of bobbed hair. It's the nicest, neatest, most comfy way to wear hair, and my own hair is bobbed. But I'd certainly like to wrench the pretty, dimpled pink neck of the little flapper who sits in front of me at a show or next to me in the subway and combs her hair in my face. She's such a cute thing, I hate to frown and be nasty about it. But by the time a dozen or more have combed their shorn locks over me, I look like I worked in an oriental rug factory. I can sympathize with them, because I know how good it feels to run a comb through my short locks and feel each hair, feathery and light and alive and cool. But just the same, when I feel like combing my hair, I go to a dressing room or in a corner away from everybody. There's got to be a system, you know. No girl with bobbed hair should comb it at the table. Although I've seen them come into a restaurant, throw their hat on a chair, and shake their head like a Shetland pony. What would you think if a man shook cigarette ashes on your new dress? Well, it's just as bad to shake your hair on his suit. It's just thoughtlessness, and a bad habit that is easily overcome if you stop to think. Don't let's give people who like to pick on any innovation a chance to knock bobbed hair for such a silly reason as combings. I saw a flapper snap at a young mother the other day because her baby put its shoes against the flapper's skirt. A minute later, the flapper shook her head and combed her hair in the baby's face. Surely the mother had more right for complaint. A flapper should know better. Flapper flunked in college quiz. The New Britain Daily Herald, January 14, 1927. San Francisco, January 14th. Modern college youths, when thinking in terms of matrimony, prefer old-fashioned girls. The flapper may be a satisfactory good time companion, but as a prospective wife, she is only a 7%er. This, at least, was demonstrated yesterday in a vote of 284 male students of the University of Santa Clara, south of here. In a questionnaire distributed by a student publication, the men were asked to state their preferences of types of girls for marriage purposes. The tabulation showed 284 students out of 500 filled out the blanks, with the following results. Preference expressed for flappers, 7%. For medium-mannered girls, 15%. For old-fashioned girls, 64%. Undecided, 14%. Some of the student comments written in on their ballots follow. I hope to marry someone as like my mother as possible. An old-fashioned girl. I have her all picked out. All I need is my college diploma and some money. A flapper. There are no more old-fashioned girls. If old-fashioned means sensible and level-headed, though bobbed, certainly. If there is an old-fashioned girl to be found, I'll marry her. I hope to marry a flapper, i.e. a nurse. Something in between a girl who is educated, good-looking, and has a rich dad. Flappers give me an awful pain. I want a good girl, but a live wire. Love knows no types. I'm waiting for love. Schoolgirl flapper gives teacher baby stare. The Washington Times, March 20th, 1922. The flapper has appeared in many roles. There is the flapper of the boulevards, the flapper of the screen, the flapper of afternoon promenades. Now meet the flapper of the schoolroom. Flappers are the bane of a teacher's existence these days, so say the erudites. Flappers have a new classroom trick, say the teachers. When they don't know their lesson, they now give the baby stare. Instead of standing up when they are called on and mumbling a few inarticulate words when they don't know the answer, they now sit demurely in their seats and just look sweet and unknowing. Why expect a flapper to be expected to know such difficult problems? What else can you expect, say the teachers, when parents permit such school attire? The dress seems to control the girl's thoughts. A flapper, for instance, bobbed hair, belted dress, and stub-toe shoes. An 82-year-old flapper. Perth Amboy Evening News, August 8, 1924. Winthrop, Massachusetts. It took a long time for Mrs. Elizabeth Doane to make up her mind, but when she saw her daughter and her daughter's daughter and her daughter's daughter's daughter bob their hair, she decided it wasn't too late for her to join the ranks. So at the more or less mature age of 82, snip snip, off came the tresses. Thus was made Winthrop's oldest flapper. Mrs. Doane's hair was unusually heavy for a woman of her age. The bobbing of her hair developed into somewhat of a celebration. Her bobbed-haired granddaughter wielded the scissors, while her bobbed-haired daughter and her bobbed-haired great-grandchildren looked on. She's glad it's over now. Bobbed hair is much more comfortable. It saves us all time hunting all over the floor for hairpins, she says. Youngest bob-haired flapper. The Indianapolis Times, August 18, 1924. The youngest bobbed-haired flapper in Indianapolis is the claim of Essie Maud, 7-weeks-old daughter of Patrolman William Gillespie, 1604 Rembrandt Street. That little girl is surely going to keep me broke paying barber bills, Gillespie said. Why, I had to have her hair bobbed when she was 17 days old, and maybe you won't believe me, but the tresses had to be cut again when she was 6 weeks old. Mrs. Edith Gillespie, the mother, said she didn't know whether to let Essie Maud's hair grow or keep having it bobbed. The styles change so much, I can't tell how the women will be wearing their hair when Essie grows up, Mrs. Gillespie said. The little girl is playfully referred to by the neighbors as the bobbed hair baby of Bad Bill the burglar catcher. Pa pokes Ethel in the nose, objects to flapper habits. The Bisbee Daily Review, February 8, 1922. While not of a puritanical turn of mind, Joseph Miller today explained to Police Judge Truid that he was unable to stand the rolled stockings, bobbed hair, galoshes, plucked eyebrows, and painted lips of the modern flapper. He was charged by his wife with punching the nose of his daughter, Ethel, 16. My daughter wants to be a flapper, he said. She plucked her eyebrows. I made her stop. I won't let her bob her hair. She combs it so it looks like it was bobbed. I hate galoshes, rolled stockings, and painted lips. The judge reserved decision on the flapper, but fined Miller $5 and costs for striking his daughter.